Hello, in this lesson I wanted to go over the harmonic distortion that we have just witnessed when using the tape and tube emulators. And as a starter, I'm going to use the tube. So right now it's bypassed. I'm going to play a sine wave right there. That's a sine wave. You can see it's a sine wave on the oscilloscope, okay? And you can see it has one discrete frequency in the analyzer, in the fast Fourier transform, so spectrum analyzer. Now I'm going to enable this saturation. It immediately, even with a setting of 0, is adding some harmonics. You see that really low level. And you can see that the waveform was not bent that much. And if I add more of that distortion, and I don't know if you remember, but in the previous lesson you could hear distortion from it. So this did distort our initial waveform. This is not a sine wave. Even though it does look like one, it's not a perfect sine wave. It is deviating from that. Hence the word distortion, harmonic distortion. It is distorting the waveform and hence adding something else. So if it was a pure sine wave, it would just look like this and the frequency would be just discretely one frequency. As we're adding distortion, we are adding other harmonic content, or inharmonic for that matter, could be anything. Now, the distortion we are adding right here is harmonic distortion, meaning that all of the content being added and all the harmonics being added are harmonics, meaning that the frequencies added are the integer multiplier of the fundamental one. Okay, so if this is 261, the second harmonic is that times 2, 523, and this is 3 times the fundamental, 4 times 5, 6, 7, and so forth. Now let's change to the tape and let's see what tape is adding. Okay, let's play it. So look at the even ones, you know, the second, the fourth, sixth disappearing. This is only adding the odd harmonics. And now it looks really squarish. Look at that. So you can see initial one, and then this is the third harmonic, so that's the initial fundamental frequency times 3, and this is times 5, 7, 9, 11, so forth. If we change to, let's say, the saturation, again, we have the same thing. We're just adding odd harmonics, just like that. Let's try something else. Let's try the transformer, kind of. Let's try this. Oh, right here we have, you see some even harmonics there as well. The amplitudes of those odd harmonics also changes. So it's also not symmetrical. Now here you can see that the top portion, okay, the positive portion of the sine wave is not bent the same as the negative portion of the sine wave, okay? This one is more flattish, and that's giving you a really, unique signature to this saturation. So whenever you think of harmonic distortion, it is always a distortion that is adding content based off of the harmonic, the fundamental one, okay? The first fundamental harmonic. So meaning that all of the content being added is supposed to be just the integer multiplier of the fundamental frequency. If we overdo it, if we go into anything, let's say, much harder than that, sometimes the content we are adding is also going to be not really the multiplier of the initial one, okay? So if we overdo it, we'll get into a different kind of distortion where all the content being added is not harmonic. All of the additional content added is not going to be the multiplied fundamental. So when you think of harmonic distortion, this is what you should think of. This is what is actually happening. And every type of emulator out there that's emulating tapes or tubes or anything like that, that's what it's actually doing. So it's applying a kind of distortion, which is adding those even and odd harmonics in different amplitudes and giving you, of course, a different color of saturation. As I said, what I wanted to show you with this lesson is that you grasp the concept of that frequency, that sine wave. Okay, let me bypass it. So of that sine wave where it's only one frequency, and then this distortion bending that sine wave to get a different waveform, which is in turn generating additional harmonics. Now that is exactly what we did to our master track. In the previous lessons where I show you how we could add the tape, emulation, and that kind of saturation as well, of course, it wasn't just the emulation of saturation with the tape, but when I was adding harmonic content, this is what was happening. We were bending the waveform in such a way that we are adding harmonic content off of what was given to that saturator or harmonic distortion device. So keep that in mind. The waveform is actually changing.